Welcome, friends. What's up, Dragon Brood? We got a lot going on because it's time to talk about how we goofed up. Or maybe not. Maybe just how we did, because we like to look at our overrated, underrated stuff. Today, we're going to be looking at cards we thought were underrated from Spider Man and see if we were right. But I'm not the only one who gets yelled at here. I have my friend Dev. How's it going, dude?
It's going pretty good. I can't wait to get yelled at. It's, it's always a lot of fun. It is.
People are just waiting to be angry at us, even though we're just speculating like everybody else. But it's always fun. It's always fun.
Yeah, I mean, like spoilers for this one a little bit. I'm looking at the cards in front of me, and they're kind of all bad. So we'll see. We'll see how we explain any of these away. Because I think we can. I think there's ways to do it, and I do. For what it's worth, I think there's one or two of these that you can make a case for at the very
Sure,
least.
sure,
But
definitely.
it's gonna be fun.
Yeah. And before we get started, if y'all haven't seen Dev, though, if you've been here for a minute, you probably have because he visits like every 2 months now. So,
Yeah, give or take.
But yeah, go over to his channel. It's SBMTG. Go sign up. He's got a bunch of wonderful stuff over there. And as we've seen in the comments, if you like my stuff, you probably like his stuff. So go over there and subscribe.
We go well together. But
all right, let's get into some cards here because we got a few to talk about. But I guess we'll lead with you on your first one here.
All right, man. So this one really sets the pace for my picks this time around. My first choice was Kraven's Last Hunt, or I believe A Trail of Teacups, if you're playing on Arena, which is a fantastic name for a Magic card. It really is. I have played this on stream in a sort of Rydia Sagas deck that wants to like reanimate it and stuff. It's a serviceable removal spell there. However, the card is mud. The card is lumps. The card is not good. And has not shown up anywhere. All right, what's your pick? No, seriously, the card is it's obviously a little bit slow, I'll give it that.
To be fair though, this is the type of card that people kind of want us to take shots on overrated, underrated stuff, right?
Yeah.
It has the right words, it looks like it fits somewhere, but the metagame just didn't give it any room.
Yeah,
at the end of the day.
Yeah, I feel like you're supposed to just play Esper Origins and shut up. Like, not try stuff like this. Like, this looks like it's really good in a mill deck, but at 4 mana, you could be getting a good Magic card. So you have to remember is like so many good Magic cards cost 4. So if you're going to pay 4, is this really what you want to spend your whole turn 4 on? And there were times where I was fine doing it in that Rydia deck, but I could see why nobody else is fine doing it. I don't think even a content creator played this card apart from me. So that's a pretty big miss, I would say.
Yeah,
all
that's
things considered.
That's fair.
But, oh man, we got to get past that one because you also had a big old green card that you thought there might be some cool stuff to do with.
And this was Web of Life and Destiny, or Through the Omen Path, I believe it is. Yeah, this one just really didn't do much, to be honest. And I've had it in a couple decks where it's been useful. I mean, I even played it in one a couple days ago that it does stuff, but it's underrated in the sense that like it's better than people are giving it credit for, but not underrated in the sense that it's going to become a real card in the format. It's just not that level good. I think even if you have a deck with a bunch of tokens and different things, you're still not playing the convoke cost on it because it's a weird dynamic in the sense of you want small things to be able to play this cheaply, but you need big things to hit off of it or there's no value there, right?
Right.
So it almost kind of becomes a mid-rangey type deck card. And that's ultimately where I was playing it because I was able to have the small early ramp creatures, and this allowed me to get, big dinosaurs like Vaultborn Tyrant or get or Boroid or whatever, or Elegy Acolyte, stuff like that. It was like, okay, there's still a lot of value here to use with my smaller creatures, so it wasn't too bad. But outside of those scenarios, it only has a handful of decks right now you can even mess around with putting it in, truthfully.
Yep. I mean, we talked about it a little bit in our initial discussion, what you were just saying there, in that like every Llanowar Elves you put into your deck to ramp into this card, or every small creature that you tap to convoke for this card, increases the chance that you will hit those small creatures with the card. And every Vaultborn Tyrant that you put in your deck decreases the chance that you will be able to ramp into the card. So there's a very specific way to build your deck with this. And sometimes you'll whiff or get a small guy or whatever it is. Sometimes you'll get an opening hand full of huge dudes and you don't want that. So in standard, it's kind of tough to build around. It always looked like more of a commander card. And I think you acknowledged that
Oh yeah,
in our original discussion. It's just sometimes you got to take these swings because a card like this that gives you this much value turn over turn could be very good. And I
oh, and
still think there
it's
could be a
definitely still viable in Commander.
yeah.
Like,
Oh, all day.
yeah, yeah.
Yes. Commander card for sure. Very good there. But I think that there might still be room for this in standard at some point in its life cycle, especially if we keep getting good ramp, and we've kept getting decent ramp here with the avatar sets, some particularly good pieces. So I think if it's easy enough to get to this card, then we might start seeing it be okay. But I guess the issue there is that if you can get to a card that's this expensive, then you can probably just get to better expensive enchantments. Like you can get to Omniscience instead, which is a more game ending card than this. Because this is just a little bit of value every turn. And by the time you get this late into the game to where you can cast the card, that little bit of value turn over turn might not be enough. You just need to win the game right now.
I think it's all
So,
about, like I said, the deck with the Vaultborn Tyrants was one of the better ones to have with it because it's also extra value from the card you're getting, right?
right.
I got a 6/6, I got some life, I got a card.
A card.
Potentially
Yep.
more next turn, right? And that makes it worth it. So if you have that level of creatures in your deck that you can hit, great. But if you
Yeah.
don't, that's rough.
Yeah, I think for this card to truly be good, especially turn over turn and not like winning the game all at once, I feel like if you're trying to get 2 turns worth of value out of this and win the game off of it, you do have to be hitting like Tyrant into Tyrant or like,
Yeah.
Tyrant into Huge Guy or whatever. Like you need a critical mass of enormous dudes in your deck. And I'm just not sure we can like build a reliable deck like that at the moment. Right.
Mhm.
But again, this is one that like obvious commander special, but I wouldn't put it past this C and play at some point during its life cycle. It's not time yet.
Fair.
So I'd reserve judgment on it. That's as nice as I can be, I guess.
If you haven't seen our new deck building series that I put up, that's been going on, people are loving that. So go check those videos out. And they come from Aggro University, which we have a bunch of merch down below. So you can click the merch button and go get yourself something and support the channel.
I've already said this on the video on my channel, but I want to reiterate that your shirt is amazing and I want it. So,
Oh man, like I work with a couple of different artists that like I'll just be like, I have this idea, and then can you make this happen? And then they come back with something. I'm like, yeah, that's exactly it. Thanks.
that's it. Well, now you have to have like control you, combo you, mid
Oh
range
no. We
you.
don't do that here. We are just aggro
Just
you.
aggro.
Yep. That's what we do here, sir.
Oh, that's the way to be.
We will do studies of control decks because you have to understand
Right.
what's out in the field.
Yep.
But no, otherwise we're just giving the aggro lessons.
Yeah, I call myself sometimes a reformed control player.
Fair.
I used to be a control player, now I hate it more than anything in the world. So,
all right. So what do we got for your second one here?
my second one was a much more mana efficient card than either of our first 2 cards, and that is Origin of Spider-Man. I think my thought with this was that it's effectively a 2 mana 3/2 that also gets you a saga, and you can do stuff with that because it's an enchantment. And there's stuff that reanimates sagas in the format right now, and there's stuff that cares about the number of lore counters on sagas. Blah, blah, I thought maybe you could do a little something. I think the final chapter gives us something double strike, which is pretty decent. But there just isn't a home for this. I've tried it in Selesnya Spiders. It's pretty good there. But when your best home is in a random creature type matters deck that's at like, level Z in standard, I think that's not a very good, setup for a
Actually,
card.
I get to bail you out on this one
Oh yeah.
because it's recently in the last 10 or 12 days started to become a real deck on the standard ladder. There is a deck that's black white. It plays a lot of like the skeleton enchantments and things like that. It plays battle what is it? United Battlefront
Oh
to
yeah.
go search for things that get you extra counters and whatever, using the double strike to try to sneak through the skeletons with not fear, what are they, suspected or whatever?
Oh
Like,
yeah. Yeah. Fab
yeah.
Menace.
Yeah, it's actually pretty sweet. It's
Huh.
actually a real deck I've seen popping up, and
That is
actually people are
interesting.
playing it. Yeah.
I have not encountered this yet, but I love the sound of it.
Yeah, it's a real thing.
Also, it's cute. Yeah, Battlefront can get this. It can get the skeleton, the case of the whatever
Yeah,
skeleton.
so then you're getting multiple permanents that you can sacrifice to different things or whatever if you want
Right.
to or whatever.
That's
So,
clever.
yeah, it's a
Huh.
pretty sweet little deck. As a
I
matter of
played
fact,
like,
just played against it again last night.
huh. I have to
Mhm.
look that up. That's actually dope. Yeah, if it's in that deck, I'll take the not L. I won't call it a dub yet, but I'll take the not L.
Yeah,
you know.
it's definitely, I think what really makes the card work is the potential double strike aspect of it. Right?
Yeah.
If you can sneak a creature through, whether that's through flying, through menace, whatever, like that causes your opponent to have to play their previous turn differently.
Right.
Because they're like, okay, well, I have to leave removal up, or I've got to be able to double block things or whatever. So they just don't die on sight. So it's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it does look like a lot of value on one card, but I was convinced it still wasn't enough somehow. But it's good to know that it found a little home. That's nice. That assuages me, if no one else.
Yeah.
So I'll take that relief right there. Your next card, on the other hand, was, I think, maybe the one with the best argument to be made for it in the entire
Sure.
video.
But I still think I missed.
Maybe a little, but maybe I just really wish you hadn't.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too. I wanted this to be better than it was. But Carnage, Crimson Chaos.
Yeah.
Because again, a 4-mana, 4/3 with trample, and I just get the added value of returning a creature from the yard. That's awesome. And I tried it in a couple lists with just various types of aggressive stuff with Rakdos, with Mardu, sometimes alongside Alesha. So I'm getting like multiple things back from the yard.
I think Alesha's the best home for it.
Yeah, just doing some fun stuff with it. But ultimately, it's a weird space where it's playable and somewhat useful, but the decks don't necessarily need the card, if that makes sense, right? Like it fits and it does some things, but you could also just do other things that are equally as good in that deck, or individually have more value on their own, because this is maxed out when there's something else in the graveyard to go get. And as we talked about in the previous video we did today, was some of the stuff is just targeting graveyards. So half the time you don't even have anything to go get anyway of any value, which is disappointing.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I think that just like some other cards we've talked about in, I think, the overrated video, this is one that I think does fall victim to the fact that Standard is hostile to graveyard strategies at the moment. If not for that, I think this card would be a lot better. But there's also the fact that the aggro decks strike a little faster than this deck. The Reanimator decks do a little bit more with their Reanimator turns than this deck does. This one is kind of caught in a weird, limbo between both of those kinds of decks. It wants to be an aggro deck. It wants to be a get all your value on turn 4 Reanimator deck, but it doesn't do either one as well as the decks that are more focused in either direction.
Well, I'd also say part of the value on this card was the idea that Mayhem would at least be somewhat playable or be part of other decks.
Yeah.
And that ability has just gone to the wayside as a whole.
That has not been the case. I was really excited about Ultimate Green Goblin, another card that cares about Mayhem and stuff. And just these Mayhem pieces have gone nowhere so far. And that's especially wild considering that we are in a format where there's a deck that cares about discarding cards. Like the one that plays Mako and FOMO and Steam Core Scholar and Tersa Light Shadow. That deck is discarding cards like crazy. Plays no Mayhem pieces. Like not even Pumpkin Bombardments. Like you think it'd be a decent removal spell for them. They don't care about any Mayhem.
I mean,
stuff.
you would think even Carnage in those decks, because there's lands that we could splash black with no problem. You discard this, and you play it.
You can get like VV back.
Exactly.
But nope. This is crazy how like this card to me looked like one of the strongest cards in the set. And it's just not really moved. No movement, no motion.
Not at all.
So I don't get it, man. I don't get it.
And the worst part about this card is I don't know if that changes significantly in the future for this card.
I mean, I was going to give you some credit, the same with Web of Life and Destiny, but I believe it even more with this card, probably because it's just wishful thinking, right? I think that this is one that could have some life ahead of it at some point in Standard, but I mean, I don't know what we would have to get for that to be the case. Exactly. I don't know what we would have to lose for that to be the case. So I think we just have to buy the fact that power creep is power creep, and a card like this probably would have been insane like 10 years ago. We're in the kind of format now where there's just, I
don't even think it's power creep on this card. I just think it's the things it wants to do just don't have a place.
Right now.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, maybe if Reanimator gets a little more, able to happen.
Yeah, maybe.
Reanimator just a lot of guns pointed at it right now. So maybe if people lay off Reanimator a little bit, maybe. But I don't know. I just want to believe.
All right. What do you got next?
Friendly Neighborhood is my next one. This card sucks.
Yes. This one was a rough one.
Yeah, I tried this card in rabbits and some mono white tokens and stuff, and it's just not good, man. It's not. I have the thought and this is probably old head brain, that like, okay, this makes 3 bodies. At the
Yeah.
floor of the card, it makes 3 bodies. And again, that's just not as good as it was, in the long, long ago. Um, so I don't know, man. I don't know. I guess I picked this one because I needed a 5th one. I mean, it was kind of tough to find underrated cards in the Spider-Man set because they're not a lot of great cards in the set, to be honest. And I kind of put a little faith in this one, like, okay, maybe in the Rabbits deck, and just no, it's too much. It doesn't do enough for what it costs. It's an aura, so you might not even stick it. It sticks on a land, but you still might not stick it. There are ways you might not stick it. And it's not. I'm almost embarrassed by how
I think
bad this pick was.
I think what ultimately does this card in is that the ability has to be activated as a sorcery.
Yes. Why is that the case? Agreed. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if you could use it as a true combat trick and then whatever didn't get blocked, you make it like +4 or whatever. Like, I think that would be exciting on this card. But I think the fact that you have to commit 2 mana effectively because you've tapped the land and a mana to say, all right, this guy's going to be +4. Does it die or not? Yeah,
Right.
right.
Right. Exactly. You can't like threaten activation. If this card had threat of activation, it would be a lot better. But the way it is now, your opponent's just you're in a game of chicken with it. You know what I mean? Like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm in my first main phase. I'm gonna activate this. You got a thing, the whole time they're just staring at you. Like, go ahead, activate it, do it.
Yeah.
All right, maybe I won't now. So yeah, I just think that this card it's too expensive. The sorcery speed is too much of a bummer, and 3/1/1s. Again, it's like I said earlier, consider what value you could be getting for 4 mana and then compare it to this. You could be getting Overlord of the Mistmorse instead of this card, and that's better. So, yeah, this is probably my worst pick of the last like 3 videos. Let me just throw that out there. Which means let's go ahead and move on to
All right. Sounds
your
good.
next
Sounds
pick.
good. So, actually, here's a funny one. It's Hide on the Ceiling. And in hindsight, I realized they didn't even have to rename this card because there are ceilings in buildings in Magic. Like,
Right.
but you know, they called it spectral restitching. I don't know why we had to.
Yeah.
We just did though. But this card's in a weird one for me. I still think it's underrated,
I do too. I
and
do too.
because the times I've played it, it's been spectacular.
Card is a beast. The
Like
card wins. It
genuinely.
literally wins games on the spot.
Yeah, I've literally just
Um,
top decked it and went like, oh well, they don't have blockers now. I guess I attack for 6.
The only thing
Yeah.
I've ever played this in is a one of in the Demir like Kaito deck. I wanted to see if this card was good in that deck. Every time you draw it, it wins the game. Like,
Yeah.
and it doesn't. You would think like sometimes it rots in your hand, thinking for the right situation, waiting for the right situation. But like, I've been happy to draw this card every single time I've drawn it. And I've used it like the turn I've drawn it. Like every time, there's always something to do with it. I think that the card is underrated to this day as well.
The weird thing
If
to me
it,
is it just doesn't show up in list, and I don't know why.
nope.
I see
If
it
you think,
every once in a while, but yeah.
I don't know that I've really had this card played against me. Like I said, I played it in Demir, and every time it comes up, it's fantastic.
Hell, I
So I
used it
don't.
one time to reset the creatures in the mono white deck. Like, just blink your things out, and now your Johnny's Pride mates are back to being like
Back to
3/3s or whatever.
exactly, yeah.
It's like,
That's game ending. Like
yes,
that's a game ending action. So they have like a 10-10 Pride Mate, and now they're back to no cards in their hand, like no
yep.
life gain triggers. They're back to a 2/2. That's wild. That's really good. This
The
card just always has something to do.
yeah,
So yeah, I think that this one either one day it'll be played or like people will catch up.
yeah,
I feel like
yeah.
people need to realize how good this card is.
I
The card
agree.
is just a beating
Even
when I
playing
play
against
it.
control decks, where I'm just like, I'll just leave like 3 or 4 mana up. We'll see if they have a sweeper. Great, save my creatures.
Yeah.
They're attacking next turn. Here we go.
Yep. Good job tapping out, bub.
Yeah.
Thought it was safe. Nope.
It's
So
just wild. Like I said, I don't know why. I can't explain it. Hell, I personally probably don't even play the card enough, but
yeah,
I
right.
should be.
Right.
The card's
Yep.
still good.
Card is crazy. So again, maybe one day people will catch up. Well, let's get back to a bad pick. This one, I again think this could see play if we get the right deck eventually. But again, it's the graveyards. The graveyards aren't really doing it in standard. My next pick was Morbius, the Living Vampire. It is in fact Morbin time once again. Card is supposed to just be an anticipate effect out of your graveyard, But even in there's like a Soul Tie Graveyard Matters deck right now, and this card's not in it because opportunity cost is too high. There's just too many better cards you could put into your deck. And with that being the case right this second, I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. You see, the difference between your and my picks here is that you pick stuff that could be good one day. I'm not sure that I was really on my game this time around.
You know,
Morbius does still look good to me, but I just don't think it's good in 2025. You
in
know,
hindsight, I would say this about Morbius. If it put the cards into your graveyard instead of on the bottom of your library, I think it would have been an actual piece of the Reanimator decks.
you could actually like chain it at that point with itself, and it's more likely to get a bomb in your yard or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, the fact that it's just anticipate isn't enough.
Yeah.
I thought it would be. I thought an anticipate out of your yard whenever you want it would be almost like deep analysis. You know what I mean? But is deep analysis a playable card in 2025 standard? I don't think so. So this wouldn't be.
Probably not. Yeah.
Right.
Like,
You know?
here's the other weird thing too, I think, is that it ends up being blue black as a vampire when vampires tend to want to be red black.
That's true.
That's the
That's
other thing
true.
too. So it can't even like sneak its way into the vampire builds.
Builds up.
Yeah.
Yep. It might be a decent card there. You're just not willing to add a whole color.
Oh, for sure.
So yeah, the Morbius, I still, again, I have some faith just because I want to believe that a guy I mill into my yard that becomes anticipate could be good somewhere. But again, all evidence points to the contrary because we have Soul Tie Reanimator that doesn't play this card because it doesn't need
Yeah.
it. So
Yeah.
every other thing it can play is more powerful, which is
Yeah.
not a
Those
good
decks are
indicator.
so refined and
Yep.
just trying to go off on turn 4.
Yep. And they play really strong cards. And to your point, classic Reanimator, you just go off on turn 4, win the game. They don't have room in the deck for this like diddle around.
Yeah.
It's turn 6, I'll draw a card. They don't really do that. So yeah, it's not great. Your next card though, your next pick is a card that I have resolved many times, actually.
Yeah, this is one that it's a little bit weird when we're talking about Radioactive Spider here because the card itself, I think, is still fine value. It's a 1-mana 1/1. It has reach. It has death touch.
Always good.
Yeah, those are already going to be playable because it can stop everything your opponent wants to do creature wise, unless they have a removal spell. Right? No problem about that. I think this card still has some value to be realized down the road, though, assuming that we do get changelings in Lorwyn. Because then you'll be able to search for a variety of things. Because those cards would still count as spider heroes because they have all creature types. So then maybe if there's a key card that, or if you're playing at least 2, I would say, that are changelings that do something real, then all right, this card could still have some value. So I don't think it may have seen its best days yet.
Yep. I agree. If changelings are a thing for whatever reason, when Lorwyn comes out, if like there's a changeling deck, then I think that, especially barring like if we don't get a lot of good changeling 1-drops, then this could easily be in there, as a decent 1-drop for those decks. Honestly, the changelings decks already look halfway built. This could be a decent 1-drop. We got a couple other decent 1 and 2s. We got Roaming Throne in the 4-drop slot, which is like a must play for a lot of these decks that are going to be in standard. So I'm not sure how many good changelings we actually need at this point. But
just a
this
handful.
card, this card does look fantastic in those decks. And a lot of the value it's gotten for me is the fact that it's a 1/1 reach death touch. Reach and death toucher, that's really good abilities to put together. It might not be, I think it's called like Dragon Sniper or something, like the Vigilance Wreath.
That was like a 1/2 as well, I think.
Yeah, like that guy's fine. He's really good, but this just ends up doing much more, even though I think that the tutor ability is sorcery speed.
Yeah.
Still doesn't matter. That could potentially be fantastic. So this might be one with better days ahead of it. But
if you
I've resolved it. I've seen it resolved.
If you want to speculate on this card, they're under 50 cents on a lot of websites right now.
That's not bad.
So just saying, if you want to get your hands on them just to like, maybe, go spend less than $2 and you can have a playset.
I mean, 50 cents isn't bad if you play Commander, honestly, because like tutors are really good in Commander, and we already have a bunch of changelings that you might want to play in your deck.
Yeah.
And in a couple of months, we'll have even more. So I think this is an almost Commander playable card, at least in a very narrow deck, like right now.
Sure.
So yeah, just overall, I think this is a good pick. I haven't seen it too often, but I still think This could be powerful down the line, and I have seen it resolved against me a few times. It's not bad.
Yeah, I
If
think,
I'm
like I
playing against
said,
spiders, I don't want to see this turn one. Like I hate seeing this card turn one. So
yeah, like I said, I
pretty
think
good.
it's one of those ones that's waiting on the format to come around with the right cards,
Yeah.
right? It's playable right now. It potentially becomes good and highly useful in the future.
Yeah. I'm with you on that.
All right.
My
I think you had a
final
spider for your last one too.
yeah, my last pick is a Speeda. It's kind of hard to avoid them for the set, but I mostly did. In this case, we get Aranya, Heart of the Spider, a little Boros legend that kind of acts like a Luminarch aspirant in some ways. Cares about modified creatures. This has actually gone on to be a played commander card, from what I can understand.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought like this would be a better standard card, but right now there's not really a Boros aggro deck that people are playing. Um, and that's about the long and short of it. I
Well,
mean, I
not
guess the
not not a
imminent,
Boros aggro deck that needs the spiders.
right? Specifically, I mean, there's a Boros aggro deck. There's like a
Yeah.
Boros, yeah, like there's a mono red deck that plays white for like Lightning Helix. I've seen that thing.
Yeah, for Helix and
Sometimes Charm,
yeah, or
yeah,
Shelter is in there.
or Shelter, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I've seen like a Boros aggro deck. I just don't know that it wants this. As a matter of fact, the Boros aggro decks I've been seeing have a lower curve than the mono red decks, which will play like Sunspine Links.
Mhm.
You know, these Boros aggro decks are even lower on curve, and I just don't know how many threes they play beyond Screaming Nemesis. So, and I always knew this card would compete with some premium 3 drops in these colors, but I thought it would be able to break through. And so far, I haven't really seen it much in standard. I believe I have seen this in at least 150 and maybe a challenge. But to be honest, the card hasn't popped up too much, but has held some of its price because it's commander playable. So
Yeah.
yeah, it did something, you know?
And I think that's the thing too. Again, anything that cares about spiders or whatever might want this in the future, but
Yeah.
realistically, it makes sense as a commander, right? Because there are already a bunch of decks that want to modify their creatures or playing equipment, playing enchantments, auras, right? So this already just slides in to be the commander in some quality decks because it just adds value, right?
Yeah.
You get counters and you get to draw cards effectively. So it's like, why not? Right? This
Yeah.
makes perfect sense that it's still going to be commander playable.
Might as well, right? And that's why I thought, like, you know, you got kind of a card draw engine, you know, you got a thing that spreads counters around. These are typically things that aggro decks like, but I think like some of my other picks, it doesn't necessarily have the stats, it doesn't have the level of aggression it needs at its mana cost to be functional in a modern day standard aggro deck. Cards
Yeah,
really have to have it all at this point, you
but I think
know.
what makes this work is the card itself doesn't have to attack, right? It's just
Yeah,
you can
yeah,
play
that's
it,
true.
attack with something else, it gets a counter, and then if it connects, you just get access to another card. Right? So that's actually pretty sweet. There's a fair amount of value on this card. I think again, it's just having the deck that cares about modified creatures, +1 counters, whatever.
Right, all that.
Yeah, and that's just not a huge thing right now, but it is playable, like you said, in Commander, which,
Yeah.
that still counts.
I still think more than any other pick I made on this list, which is kind of a low bar to be honest, but more than any other pick I made on this list, I think this one might have the most potential future value.
Oh yeah.
So I'm gonna keep my eye on it. But for now, let's float on to your final pick. What was your number one?
This one to me, still to this moment, is like, why weren't we talking about this card?
Yeah,
But Spider
baffling.
Sense.
Yep.
And legitly don't know why this card wasn't getting hyped. I don't see it a ton, but every time I see it, it's like, yeah, that card does a thing.
Card's good.
Yeah, like that's kind of it, right? And
Yep, I've been blown out by it.
I've been on both sides of it, the giver and the receiver on it. And it wasn't really, I think at the time we talked about it, it was like a $8 or $10 card, so it wasn't going crazy. But you can still pick these up for about $2 to $3. So
Yeah, they're
nothing.
cheap, but not too cheap. Yeah.
Yeah, but just super playable in so many different decks. I think the problem is so many people looked at this as like, oh, well, I have to have a tapped creature to get the value out of this. Like, no, a lot of times just 2 mana to counter a thing is great.
Yeah. Just play the spell. you
Yeah.
don't need to do the extra thing. It's fine.
I've put it in aggressive decks that are Simic and Azorius, whatever. And some of the times you're just like, yeah, I'll just leave mana up and counter your board sweeper. Right? Or hell, I've turned off the trigger on a Cavaro or whatever, the Spider-Man that's doing the reanimator or Superior Spider-Man,
Superior,
right?
yeah.
And that was a blowout. Like they literally played
Mm.
it, targeted thing. I'm like, great. You don't get your ability. Have a
Yep.
4/4, buddy.
Yep. Now you just have a normal guy,
Yep.
vanilla 4/4.
So like so many things you could do with this. The number of things I've turned off or just stopped from happening that would have been game wrecking is
Well,
huge. And it's so cheap.
well,
It's
you can stop a soul cauldron activation or something.
yeah, I've stopped so many
Right.
things with this. And it's just like, all right, cool. So yeah, I don't know why this card still doesn't get played more. I see it every once in a while in some tournament lists. I see it in some of the 5-0s. I see it in some
Occasionally
random
it'll
top
show up.
eights. Yeah, so people are still experimenting with it. You'll see one or two show up in some lists, in some sideboards as well, which is weird. I don't know why you wouldn't just play a main deck if you're going to play them, but whatever. But yeah, I'm still a fan of this card, and it's
Yeah.
so cheap to have now. Like, I honestly believe if I was going to play any type of blue aggressive deck in a RCQ or whatever, I would probably play at least two of these in my list.
I can see two.
Yeah.
I think that people by and large think that Spell Pierce is the better card. But I wouldn't say that's true every day of the week, especially considering it doesn't do like this does more than a Spell Pierce a lot of the time. This can stop a lot more than Spell Pierce. I think people abilities being able to shoot down abilities is way better still to this day than people like Tashana's Tidebinder has been playable for years, and people still discount the ability to mess around with abilities.
Yeah.
Card just does so much, and I thought at the very least they would see a lot of play in Commander, but I think I've seen it talked about more in Standard
Oh,
after
for
release
sure.
than Commander. And it does show up from time to time, but yeah, I don't think it gets all the flowers it
Yeah.
deserves
The other
either.
thing
I
too
think it's a good
is
card.
if you do have a tapped creature, it's like great. If it has an ETB, pick it up and use it again.
Right.
Right.
That's the
Like,
kind of the point of the card. Like you'd think at least like the Esper Pixie decks would try to make this card work.
yeah. Yeah.
I haven't really seen it show up there, but I have seen it show up in boards of, blue red decks here and there. So it's around, but I too thought that this would see at least like, 2, 3 up sideboard play in basically every deck with islands, but instead people are still on the negates, people are still on the spell pierces. And I'm not really sure why.
And
I
I'll
won't
tell
say
you
it's
this.
like strictly better than negate, but it's getting there.
The reason it even crossed my mind to use in some decks are particularly because of the reanimator decks. Like there's sometimes you're playing, say, like a blue white aggro deck or whatever, and you're not wanting to play like Rest in Peace or whatever. But it's
Yeah.
like, oh, I can play this and still get what I want out of that matchup and keep their stuff from triggering or going off, still get the win that way. Or I can counter sweepers, and it's just versatile against other things. So it's like, yeah, why wouldn't I? Or if you're playing the mono blue tempo-y type decks that are around right now.
Yeah, that
Like,
should be like the number one place this shows up, right? Like
yeah,
Tolarian Terror deck and
yeah, why would
whatnot.
you not play this? Like, this is
Eh,
great.
I don't get it. I mean, that's like two picks on the list. Both blue, hide on the ceiling in this, and it's like, man, why aren't people on this right now?
Yep.
It's not even like, man, this didn't see any play. We're going to take the
I
L.
think
It's just like, why aren't you playing this?
I think
We
this one
know it's
is
good now.
it's more surprising with Spider Sense though, because it's showing up in some lists, so it means people believe in it, but they just don't
Yeah.
believe in it enough. Which
Yeah, right.
makes no
Yeah, you
sense.
were seeing a few, like 2 copies on the board or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this is a main deckable card. I do. Yeah. There are times I'd rather have this than like 3 steps ahead. Cost less
For
mana,
sure.
no matter what.
For sure.
So, but
Yeah.
yeah, I guess.
I think if
Go
there's
ahead.
anything I want to wrap up here
Yeah.
with all this is kind of unrelated to this. This is a thing I want to give to the community. Is don't go forward trying to use Spider-Man as an argument for anything set-wise. I think I've seen that too often where people are trying to say, "Oh, well, how do we know they're not going to Avatar or Spider-Man up the Avatar set or Ninja Turtles isn't going to be as bad as Spider-Man whatever." Like that's a disingenuous argument because Wizards has said outright that the set was never intended to be this.
Right.
Right? We all know
Right.
this at this point, right?
Yep.
They saw a disaster from the last 2 small sets they did, and they had to pivot so you can at least make it profitable, right? That's what you got to do. What you got to do. You paid a lot for the license. You got to make it work. Fine, right? That's not the care that we've seen given to every other Universes Beyond thing, except for the Assassin's Creed, which was another small set, right? Everything
Right.
else has gotten the care and attention and has fans on R&D that worked on it and blah, blah, and all this stuff. So we can't use this as an argument. Like when you do, you sound really silly to anybody who's been paying attention. Like, just being
Yeah.
honest about it.
It's like if we see another Universes Beyond that we feel has the same development schedule and development issues that Spider-Man had, talk about that. But right now, Final Fantasy, Lord of the Rings, and now Avatar are obviously projects they put a lot of like love and attention into.
Sure.
And you're right that, probably the reason Spider-Man ended up the way it is because it's in like a weird rushed development hell, where it had to change what it was 2 or 3 separate times while
Yeah.
being developed. So, again, if we don't run into those problems, if Wizards has ample time to actually put the set together, the 2 years it's supposed to take, and the project stays, on the same track the whole time, then they obviously care. They
Oh, for
obviously put a
sure.
lot of TLC into these
And not just
projects,
that,
but
look at all the Commander sets, right? Whether we're talking about Fallout or Doctor Who or 40K or whatever, like, they all turned out spectacular. So to sit here and
yep,
say, "Oh, it's a Universes Beyond problem and it's too much stuff going on," no, they literally told us what the problem was with the set.
with this set.
Yeah, like
Yeah, I don't want to be like people are going to be like traitor, you know what I mean? Because I'm not the hugest fan of UB, but I
sure.
like the UBs that I like, and I think that everyone's like that. We need to admit that. Like, I don't like UB, but I like Final Fantasy. It's like, well, then you like UB as a concept, so long as it does the thing you want it
Oh,
you
I'm
want to do.
indifferent. I
You
just
know what I mean?
literally don't want to have the same discussion over and over when there's not a real discussion to be had, right? Like,
It's like at this point, I think that whether it's comfortable to admit or not, I think that more UB sets have been successful in the fans' eyes, like through public reception, not how many
yes,
packs they sell, how many whales buy them. But I think public reception has been good for
sure.
more UB sets
Fans of the
than not.
properties have loved them.
Yep. And a lot of Magic players. Okay, so like I can't tell you how many times I've seen the comment like, "Oh, I didn't think I was going to like the Fallout set, but it was really good. I didn't think I was going to like the Warhammer set, but it was really good."
You know
Like
what?
even people who weren't excited going in
I was just
have to
thinking,
admit these are good.
I'm going to use this analogy for the Spider-Man set. It would be like looking at the timeline of Toyotas, because Toyotas have great resale value and they have all these features. Everybody likes them. They're fairly affordable as far as like family cars go, whatever. And they have a feature and it's great in 5, 6, 7 cars in a row. And then they make an eighth one and the feature's terrible in that car. It doesn't work right or whatever. And then you go, well, I guess this feature's terrible in all Toyotas now. And it's like, well, no, there
No,
was just like a
no.
weird production with one vehicle. Doesn't mean that they're all trash, right? Like we just can't do it. It just it's not even a straw man argument. It's just a bad argument.
Yeah.
Like we can't do that. Like,
At this point, I mean, I will say that Spider-Man is one of the worst sets,
sure,
um, in
sure.
Magic of all time. And so it sounds like a strong argument, but again, weighed against the rest of Universes Beyond and what they've been able to do with that over the last few years, it is an outlier
But
at best.
also, let's say
Spider-Man.
this, it feels worse than it is because we've had a series of bangers.
Yeah, that's true too.
Right? You know what I mean? We're
And it's
coming
a
off of
small set, and
Tarkir, Final Fantasy, Edge of Eternities, and then that, right? Like, so it's
yeah,
like
like we were
it
coming
was
off some high highs
yeah,
there.
it was always gonna feel worse.
Yep.
Like it didn't matter what, and then you're gonna have Avatar. So like, like, and then Lorwyn, right?
Lorwyn's,
So it's like it's just banger after banger after banger. So like something was gonna have to give.
yeah, there has to be a bad set in there somewhere.
It's like I tell people,
Ether.
nobody
There
wants to
has to
think
be an
about
ether
it.
drift every now and again.
Nobody wants to think about it, but we've all been to a doctor, very likely, that graduated near the bottom of his medical school class.
You know what they call him?
Doctor.
Right.
Like, that's it at
Exactly.
the end of the day.
Still a doctor, and this is still a Magic set. And by
Yeah.
God, I don't want to defend Spider-Man like too much here, but
Same.
what I want in a Magic set is cool cards that I want to play with.
Yeah.
And Spider-Man had them. Like I wanted to play with Anti-Venom. I wanted to play with Carnage. I wanted to play with Ultimate Green Goblin. I wanted to play with Moreland Devourer of Spiders. There's like a half dozen or more cards in that set I could not wait to play with. At the end of the day, that's really all I asked for out of a Magic set. It's like cards I think are cool. And I think they did like okay with that in this set, to be honest. But
and if you dislike it and you want to hate it, absolutely feel free. I'm not telling you to like it. I'm just saying using that as an argument for what happens with Universes Beyond, or this is a product of them doing licensed stuff. Like that's just not the case. Like, believe me, what we've seen of Avatar already should just assuage that whole thing. Because
people really that Avatar set looks good, man. And I don't even watch Avatar.
It's a
that
banger
Avatar set
set
looks good, dude.
Speaking of, you probably want to check out those videos if you haven't. So I don't know if they're going
Yeah.
to go up before or after, probably before this one when they load. So go check those out if you haven't. We're talking about overrated, underrated cards and Avatar as well. Speaking of, why don't you tell them where they can find it over on your channel, sir?
Well, you can come to Strictly Better MTG if you want to type a bunch of words into your YouTube address bar, or you could just type in SB MTG and I should pop up. We do all kinds of stuff over there, from list videos. We just covered all the previews. We actually just put up a video where we rate every single card in Avatar. We call it a speed run, but it's like 4 hours long. So we do a little bit of everything over there, from deck text to lists to previews to blood to book, commander content from time to time. Just come check us out. You don't have to watch every video, but every few, it'd be nice. So come check us out at SVMTG. Subscribe if you feel like it. If you don't, I'm just glad you're there.
Yeah. And y'all know the drill. Check out the merch down below. Become a member. Check out the strategy videos if you hadn't. And, save some money on magic cards because, the stuff over at Tales of Adventure is super cheap if you use my code. So go do all that. But otherwise, that's all I have for you for now. We'll catch you next time.